It's really not all about Lisa tonight. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is the Our Turf Football Podcast. I am Dana. This is Lisa. This is Sonia. And for some reason, I can't see chat on my thing, and I don't know why, and it's driving me crazy. Can you guys see the chat?
I can't see the chat.
I can't either.
On the right-hand side or underneath?
Yeah, I see right-hand choice. You see the chat? I don't see the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. Okay, so here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Our Turf Football Podcast, and I was messing with the screen. So I added the ticker at the bottom and a little Our Turf thing up at the corner, and now all of a sudden I can't see the chat. So I hope that, well, Lisa, you just said hello to us, so I can't see the public chat, so I hope that it pops up for me. Otherwise, I swear I'm not ignoring you, my friends. I'm so glad that you are all here with us. So, all right. Wild week. It was a wild week. But before we get into this week, we have so much to talk about. Like, my list goes on forever what we have to talk about. Let's start with our sponsor. We want to thank Donkey's Cheesesteaks for sponsoring our podcast for the last 3 years. This is the third year, so the last 2 years.
Yes.
They have 3 locations, Medford, Mount Holly, and Camden, New Jersey. But if you cannot get to the New Jersey area to try their cheesesteaks, then you can go to goldbelly.com, type in Donkey's Cheesesteak, and they will send it right to your house. And it's delicious, and you should do it. So huge thanks to Donkeys. Hey, I'm not in the Donkeys Cup League this year. How's it going, Sonia? How's the league?
It's doing pretty good. We've had some big scores, kind of like on Lisa's scores. But no, we've had some really big scores. I think somebody week 1 scored like 200 points.
Dang.
Whoa.
Right.
Nicely done. Hey, guess what? I just found the chat just popped up. So now I can see all of our lovely friends. I'm so excited.
Yay.
Okay, good. That makes me feel better because, you know, the whole point of our show is we like to chat with you guys. So please join the chat. Give us your questions. Give us your opinions because there's going to be a lot to have.
You know, what's funny is it popped up for me too, and I've never been able to see it before.
That's so strange. I don't know.
Yeah, because I see Graham, I see Darcy. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. I know.
Darcy.
They did a whole update. Now here we go. Okay, let's get started. I want to start with probably the most important thing. And Lisa, I'm going to start with you because this is your moment. You get your 4 whole minutes. That's what I told you. But how does it feel as a Dolphins fan to get completely upstaged by Taylor Swift?
Wow.
Nobody gives a shit that the Dolphins scored 70 points. All they care about is freaking Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. And I'm like, major football things have happened. And we're talking about
I am good. I always love flying under the radar. I do. I don't like the spotlight. I think that it always brings negative things. So I was perfectly happy. She can have the spotlight. Kansas City can have the spotlight. But yeah, like I said, I don't even know if I could hear anything about the football. I mean, even after, if you guys watched the post games with the coach and everything, all the reporters asked was about Taylor Swift.
Bill Belichick answered a question about Taylor Swift.
Right?
That's so ridiculous.
The lie. We've lost it. Listen, here's the thing. I'm real happy for them if that worked out. I'm glad that she enjoyed the football game. I'm glad that, you know, Travis Kelce's jersey sales went up 400% in the last 3 days and all the other stuff that comes with it. But that is not what our show is ever about. I want to know about this game, Lisa. This game was insane. The Dolphins, they were off the hook.
Well, what happened with me is when you look at 70 and you watch the game, it doesn't feel like a 70 score game.
Right. It didn't.
You know what I mean? Because it was so, because I think in the second half, it was like, not the second half, the second quarter, it was 21-10 at one time. So it just kind of was like a lot of long runs in between a lot of times. There were a couple turnovers that turned into scores. So it didn't feel like a complete domination to where we just dominate them from the start. I mean, they had some good drives. They had some
Russ had a good day.
Long passes. Yeah. So when you look, it didn't have the feel of a pounding 70 score.
Right.
It was just kind of a methodically well coached. We, had some long runs. They couldn't stop our run. There was just, they were getting 20, 30 yards a pop and just, finishing them out. So like I said, I kind of expected when I heard the score, because like I said, I was working, so I missed some of the game, so I had to come back and kind of watch it. It wasn't, and even my brother kind of said the same thing. When you hear 70, you think boom, 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 boom. They pounded them. I don't really think we pounded them. I really think it was just kind of a, nice game plan, and we just executed. And so, we still made mistakes. I still could find mistakes on the tape of some things that we could have done better. Could we have scored more points? Absolutely. I have no doubt that
we're going to talk about that here in just a second.
Yeah, I understand. I have no doubt that he took, when you look, how do you not, and this is what kind of bothers me, and this is what I'm glad we're going to talk about, because we took our starters out in the third quarter, for crying out loud.
Right. What else could you have done?
So I'm sorry. What do you want us to do?
Yeah.
You can't stop our second, third string guys. And even Sean Payton said it in their presser. It wasn't like McDaniels could have, we probably, honestly, if we'd have kept all our starters, probably could have dropped 100 on them.
Yeah.
The way that, so it was like, to me, it's what else could we do? And I'll just go into the ending. I know sure you guys are going to hit us with the poll and everything that we took. Yeah, I loved it. I thought kneeling down was the right thing to do. This isn't a record that is yay. This isn't like the all-time passing record of the NFL or the all-time rushing passer. This is like dropping some points. Right. On the opponent. And Denver fans should thank us, because that could have been a trivia question. What NFL team gave up the most NFL points in the game? Right. So I thought it was classy for him to do what he did. I thought it was classy when he took our starters out.
I thought so too.
To be honest with you. Yep. And he said that this isn't the kind of record that he wants. The record that he wants is at the end of the year when you're holding a Super Bowl trophy. And I love that about him right now, because that's what this team is about right now. We got work to do, and they know it. And so I have absolutely zero, problems with not having that record.
Right. Sonia, I'm going to have you pull up that poll. I know you put one out earlier today. A couple of comments from here. It says, when I saw the score, this is from our friend Darcy. When I saw the score, I had to make sure it was a real score. So did I, because I was doing those games and I was popping all over, right? Like I was all over the place. And then I was like, I'm sorry, that has to be a typo. Like I thought NFL.com had lost its mind, right? Nope. It was amazing. That was crazy. It's our friend RMC, he says Miami played an unexpected beatdown no one saw coming. But I agree with you, Lisa. I don't think it felt like a beatdown. Russell Wilson had a decent game. Russell played a game. This was not on Russell Wilson. As much as Sean Payton likes to bitch and moan about Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett, that wasn't it. That was not the problem. The problem was the defense, without question. And then this is really from our friend Camden. Dolphins got the all-time yardage record for a game. So that's the type of records that he wants,
that's the type of record. Exactly. She's absolutely right. That's the type of record that you kind of go for. Not what they're not that one.
Right. So I agree. I thought it was classy that they didn't go for it. I'm Hipster Homebrewer has really rubbed off on me, and I really like him. And his goofiness is really made me happy. So I don't know, but it was interesting. So, all right, Sonia, what does the poll say? Because we put it out there. We wanted to know what
we did put it out there. And I want to say that it was about, last I checked, it was 70-30. I'm scared because I'm on my phone that if I check it, I'm going to lose y'all, and I don't want to lose y'all.
Oh, I can look it up.
I want to say, I was about to say, I want to say it was about 70-30 that people said, that they should have gone for it.
That they should have gone for it.
Yes, that they should have broken the record. Yes, most people said that. And actually, Camden had a really good response. She was like, this is just kind of a record thing. It's a record. Records are meant to be broken. She didn't say that. I kind of felt that. Records are meant to be broken. And I understand where you guys are coming from, classiness and stuff like that. And yes, you want to work for the Super Bowl at the end, but also, it's a record. Why not? You've come this far. You've pulled your starters. You're not like, really truly rubbing it in your face. But I think one more couldn't have hurt.
Right.
That's just me, though.
So our poll did come out. 63% said yes. 36.2 said no. And Camden did have a really good point. So Camden, I hope you're okay that I'm reading your tweet that I said, it says, if a team earns the opportunity to go for the record, it's no longer disrespectful. It's like nodding a cowboy hat in honor. Well done. It's different than simply running up the score. And I guess I do understand that to a certain extent, but I don't know. I just really liked his logic behind it. That
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too. And Camden's my brother right now. My brother was pissed we didn't do it.
Yeah.
My whole family was, believe it or not. I mean, it was so I feel like I'm talking to my brother because my brother said the exact same thing she did.
Yeah.
You know, you have the opportunity. It's not like, you know, and my brother was all her right now. He was pissed that we didn't do it.
Right.
So
all right. Graham put in comments there. He said, we're already cursed by the Tequista tribe. We don't need any more bad karma. I don't know what that is. I don't think I want to know what that is. So I'll look that up on Google later for sure. For those of you, just a quick reminder who might be watching over on Twitter or over on Facebook, head over to the YouTube and click the YouTube link, head over to YouTube. You can join in our chat room and talk with us, just like our good friends that are in the chat room are now. We love it. We love the interaction. So please, and if you are watching, feel free to join in. We won't embarrass you. We love a Discord. So come on. It's a lot of fun.
We do.
All right. On the flip side of this game, you have to look at the Denver Broncos, currently 0-3. And we're going to talk about the other 0-3 teams later. Currently 0-3 with a surprise. Last year, offense, disaster. Melted under every pressure. Offense was terrible. Defense, so good, so strong. This year, it has completely flipped the script. Now, I'm not saying that the offense is some barn burner, but that doesn't really seem to be the big problem. The big problem is the complete sieve that their defensive line has come in and become. Interestingly enough, on this, Sean Payton was brought in to fix Denver. And I now am curious what you guys think. And Sonia, I'm going to start with you. All the hype that came in with his hiring, and all of the vibrato he brought out, still waiting October 8th when they have to play the Jets. That's going to be very interesting. Although not as interesting as it could have been had Aaron Rodgers been there. But all the vibrato he brought in, all the huffing and puffing, it has a balloon that has deflated in front of his face. Tell me what you think is going on in Denver.
I don't know if it's just finally just like everything is coming together and he realizes that maybe he's got a bigger mess on his hands than he originally anticipated. And I think he does, obviously. There have been some retooling and some injuries and things like that. And, you know, with Russell's contract, it's hard to be able to fix those pieces and, you know, really get what you need. And so, I mean, you got Walton money, so you got the Walmart money, so you kind of have an open book, but still, I'm assuming that it's just harder for him now, and he's really seeing what he's got. And preseason, you don't know what you have, really.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of getting there, and the pedal has reached the road, and yeah. So he's got more of a mess than I think he realized.
Yeah, he definitely does. And Lisa, I think the reason why he didn't realize it, in my thought, is because he was so focused on pissing and moaning about Russell Wilson kissing babies and how bad Nathaniel Hackett was. I don't know that he took a good long look at this team. Timeout. They've had some injuries. We know this. Yeah. But not this many. No. Not for this.
He almost came in with a chip on his shoulder, did he not?
Agreed.
And I kind of feel that way. And I think that I don't know whether it took him by surprise that the demeanor that some of these players that have with Russell, you know, and I just, like I said, it doesn't seem like he feels that Russell took this seriously. I think he kind of went to the Rocky 3 to where, you know, Rocky was hit the bag, take a picture, you know what I mean? And got his,
love it.
Got his ass whooped, and then he had to go back old school. And I think that's what Sean is kind of trying to vibe on it. It's like, you know, we got to go back to the drawing board because this fame is not working out for you. You need to get back to your basic love of football.
Agreed. But again, he wasn't the problem on Sunday.
No, he's not the problem. The whole team's a problem, and he's got a problem on his hands. But, you know, like when I look at over the track, when you look at the Denver Broncos, you still can't. You can say, okay, yeah, you got a good coach. You obviously have some issues. But you're not a dumpster fire like some of the other 0-3 teams. I still see a little bit of a light at the tunnel for the Denver Broncos, just because of Russell Wilson and just because of the dynamics that you can bring in. You know, you got to shore up your offensive line. You got players missing. Here's the question, like Sonia said, how are you going to plug that with no money, with no draft picks? Because you're pretty much giving them all up for a quarterback and a coach.
What were you going to say, Sonia?
I mean, but I think that there is want to win, obviously, or they're, you've got that fire in the locker room because you saw the interview with the lineman and how he's just, frustrated.
Disgruntled,
And
yeah.
so, I mean, but at least it's not truly apathetic. It's not apathy right now. And I think that they are wanting to win, but it's just how do we put it all together?
For sure. A couple comments from the comments, and I know Camden's been waiting all day. All day.
She has.
He's been saying Sean Payton is overrated. He's gone 7-9 multiple times, started 0-3 and 0-2 multiple times, but ended 7-9. The 2 times Russell started 0-2, he made the playoffs. This is his first time ever going 0-3. Absolutely correct. 100%. It's interesting. Big Red through this. The Big Red must have just popped in. Are the Dolphins the real deal, or was that 70-point game an anomaly? I think any 70-point game is an anomaly. That is just not something that normally happens. Are they the real deal? Yeah, I think that they are. We will know after Sunday. That Sunday, the Dolphins play the Bills, and they're going to beat the ever-loving tar out of each other, and that's going to be real fun to watch. I'm kind of excited about that.
For you guys.
For sure. Yeah, for me. Because Seattle plays New York on Monday Night Football, so I have all day Sunday. But, all right, yeah, so good. Yeah, this is going to be really interesting to watch, and we're going to talk here in just a couple minutes about the 0-3 teams, because I want to talk to you guys about which one we think you're going to snap out of it. I don't even know. Let's see. Oh, Camden threw in there. I even started the Dolphins defense because of Sean Payton. Well done. Nice job. I did too. Very good. All right. Let's move on to the true dumpster fire of the NFL, the Chicago Bears. This has been, speak for yourself, Dana. You will. Thanks, Graham. All right. So here's the deal with the Chicago Bears. And Sonia, your husband sent me a very funny tweet about this. I will say that. But I said, fire everyone today. They have been a mess. They have been a mess all off season, all preseason. They had this deal with the coach, which isn't illegal, but unbecoming, whatever that means. You have a quarterback who's livid at his coaching staff. You have a brand new running back who just came, who's like, you know what? Maybe I need to find a different team. It's a mess, absolute mess, right? So I want your guys' thoughts. I have a couple of ideas. I'm just going to go ahead and start. If that's okay. I have a couple ideas. I think Justin Fields needs to absolutely ask to go to a different team. Do not resign. I don't care how much money you throw at me. I'm out. They probably don't want him anyway, but here's why. And I said this theory on a show yesterday, and I got a little backlash for it, but I still think it's true. Look at Jared Goff. Jared Goff did well under Sean McVay, but was always kind of the thorn on the rose, was always kind of the punching bag, right? They trade him to the Detroit Lions, and all of a sudden he has found his mojo. He has found everything he needed to get the hell out from underneath Sean McVay. Obviously he was not the coach for him. It doesn't make either one of them bad. I'm wondering if it's the same for Justin Fields, because of the disaster that is going on in the front office and, to a certain extent, maybe the coaching staff in Chicago. Sonia, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he needs to leave. I think he needs to be in a system that will truly and properly develop him. Yeah. Because, you brought up Greg's tweet to you yesterday.
So funny. He's like, no, leave them right as they are.
Right. He was like, tell Dana stop being such a hater. I was like, okay. But he actually, like I said, I'm realizing loves quarterbacks just as much as Lisa does. And so he was like really just breaking down a lot of what has been going on with him. And I'm like, I kind of agree. It's like he's in situations where he doesn't know how to get out of, and he needs to learn that. He needs to be in a system that can really, truly nurture him and help him grow. And the Bears are not it right now. They are not that. Where can he go? Don't know. But he doesn't need to be back in Chicago because they haven't used him properly. He is not growing. He's not doing what he needs to do. He needs to be out of there. I agree.
He's been fighting for his life since the day he stepped foot on their field. I'm telling you. Lisa, what about that front office and the coaching staff? This has got to be it for them, right? Like, seriously.
Yeah, I would think when you look at Justin Fields, it's not necessarily that he has to go. I think he's perfectly fine in Chicago. I don't see him going anywhere. I think you start, like you said, I think you bring in a coaching staff. sort of like what the Dolphins did with McDaniels. You bring in a coach that was willing to work with the kid and can see this upside and the positivities for him, like McDaniels did. Because remember, Flores wanted Tua out of town.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, and so that kind of started a whole mess. This whole coaching staff didn't bring Fields in, so I think it's very adamant. So I think that you need to revamp the whole coaching staff, this whole thing. You need to burn it to the ground. Bring in a coaching staff, bring in a coach that can work with this kid, knows this kid's positivities, get a line around him, start building. You got to rebuild. You're going to rebuild. It's stupid to think that you're just going to plug a player here or plug a player there. It's not just one star that he needs. He needs multiple players. He doesn't need a superstar. He needs players around him. He needs a coach around him that knows, and can use him properly and develop him. So I blame the coaching staff. I go towards the coaching staff. I will not blame Justin Fields because I think he's just gotten thrown to the wolves. Can't blame the kid for criticizing the coaches. It's a hot mess in Chicago, and it just needs to be burnt to the ground and start again.
Agreed. We'll see what happens with them. Hey, so we have a new viewer. This is Kristen Fonte. She says, I'm a new viewer. I love the show. Sonia, what is your team?
I am a Lions fan. I am a Detroit Lions fan. So, yeah, of course we want to see the Bears suffer. No, we don't. Sonia Arturf does not.
They do. Her husband even.
They own it. They own an NFL record, don't they, Sonia?
I mean, they own quite a few records. We were the first team to go 0-16. So, yeah,
why not?
There's that.
Hey, it's a record, right? That's what's so
It is
funny.
a record.
All right, we're going to move on. Actually, seeing a lot of chatter about this in the chat right now about quarterbacks. There were a couple quarterbacks that we had mentioned we had wanted to talk about today. No, Lisa didn't bring them up. Sonia actually did, so we can't even blame Lisa for that. But we wanted to talk about a couple quarterbacks, some that were doing great, some that aren't doing so great. And I want to start with, first of all, let's start with Trevor Lawrence. Now, Trevor Lawrence is someone who we call him Sunshine here. As you know, we have nicknames for a bunch of players, and we call him Sunshine. And Sunshine really was on his way up at the end of last season. You could really see a lot of progression. Saw a lot of Doug Peterson in him, that he was, really kind of figuring things out. Seems to have really kind of struggled a bit this year. Sonia, I know you had brought up his name and wondering what was happening there. Is this just simply it's early season and we haven't settled in yet, or do you think there's more?
I think it's early season. We haven't settled in yet is what I'm blaming this loss on this past time. But also, since we're talking about quarterbacks, CJ Stroud had himself a game.
Oh, girl, he's next on my list. I'm telling you.
I know. But I think that it was more of CJ doing stuff right and the Jaguars on defense really kind of flubbing than it was truly all sunshine. But I think he has, I think it's just early season. It's game 3, short in preseason. So I'm going to kind of give him a little bit of time.
Sure.
I still think the Jaguars are the
patience in me.
All right. So Big Red threw up there. Big Red, thank you for using our nickname. Just want to say that. Big Red says, does Sunshine lack the help, or has he just hit his ceiling? Lisa, what do you think about that?
I think he's been trash. He has not developed the way they had. I am sorry. It is this is not the time. It isn't even game 3 that you be like, okay, oh, you're having a little slow season. Dude, you had a slow season last year. He is not elevated the way that the Jags want. And the thing about it is I heard a pretty good thing today, is if we could go back to the beginning of the season where we had our prediction show and we all could take back one of our predictions.
Jaguars.
I take back that Jaguar prediction in a heartbeat after watching them 3 games. I mean, there is no reason why this team should not be sitting at the top of the AFC South. I got it. I know. There's no. I'm just on my. You keep talking about him. He frustrates me because it's like, this is the year that you need to step up. This is the year you need to step up. Not game 8, not game 9, not game 10. Game 1. You come out the gate. This is a prime time. You've got how many rookie quarterbacks in this thing? You got people kind of coming up. The only team that would ever even think about giving you a hard time now is struggling also with the Tennessee Titans. So you look, and
that was a stinker of a game.
Every opportunity you have you have a great coach in Doug Peterson. You know, you got some talent on that team. For him to be forming the way he is underperforming. And I'm sorry, as a Jags fan, if you are a Jag fan, that is totally unacceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go back really quick. Graham had posted, Bears have become a mess once they got rid of Libby Smith. Yes. I will live and die by that, Graham. You and me right here. I'm with you completely. So interestingly enough, it's like Camden thinks maybe for Lawrence, the scheme hasn't expanded yet. I don't know what it is. He seems
brain hasn't
lost.
Expanded yet.
Yeah. His brain, she says. All right. Speaking of not doing well, is Carolina trying to get back to the number 1 pick next year because they are a mess? They are a mess. Bryce Young, injured, did not play this week up in Seattle. Seattle got to play Andy Dalton, the man who never leaves. Him and Colt McCoy. What the hell is that? So, and so we have some question marks coming in around Young about whether or not he really should have been the number 1 pick, especially if as well CJ Stroud is playing right now. We're going to talk about CJ next. But Lisa, give me your thoughts first on what you think about Bryce Young and what he did in those first couple games.
I'm still going to stand by. I think the game's just coming at him a little bit fast.
I think so too.
I still think he's got some good potential. Let's just hope that coaching staff can bring him along. And I think they are. I think when you look at the Panthers, yeah, they're a mess, but they're being overshadowed by the Jets and the Bears, and they're kind of being, given a little bit of a pass just because those teams are just a kind of a mess now. With the Bears, to me, being the top one. I don't think the Jets are just a quarterback mess away. They still have a ton of talent on there.
Yeah.
And I think Carolina's there. I think just as a Carolina fan, you just have to be patient. You're just going to have to kind of see if they can develop this kid along. So I wouldn't pull the panic button yet at Carolina.
I think at minimum you have to give him 2 years. You got to give him time to let it figure it out.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's the way it goes. And schemes matter. Coaching matters. And that's what you do. And when you look at the Texans, you look at the Panthers, you got 2 different styles of coaching. You got 2 different, it's still football. It's still X's and O's. And you still have to process, still have the quick reads. And it's a big difference coming from a college to a NFL team. And any quarterback will tell you when you come here how fast this game is and how you have to pick it up very quickly, especially nowadays, because you know how fans are. They want results now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Darcy has a really good point. He says Carolina doesn't even have their own first-round pick this year, so it doesn't matter, which is true. They can't go for the first-round pick, but because they did move up to get him. And I think so, too. And I think he's injured, and so we just kind of have to wait and see how that goes. On the flip side, Mr. CJ Stroud, I sent this out there on Sunday, and I said CJ Stroud looks like a starting NFL quarterback. And to be honest with you, coming from me, that's a pretty high compliment because for a rookie, I don't ever think I'm like, oh, they look like puppies with feet who are too big. You know what I mean? Like they jumble and rumble and fall over and weird stuff, rookie quarterbacks. So, but he was poised. Sonia, this kid has been ultra impressive. And the coaching of the Houston Texans has been immaculate.
That's what I said. See, I told you. I said they're going to be improved. I said they're going to be improved.
You did.
I did. And I think that, they've got the best coaching staff for CJ. And I think that he has been, able to just kind of flourish a little bit. And they're giving him the ability to kind of showcase what he can do. And I'm liking it. And I like what they've got going on. And I think, keep an eye out. I saw a tweet. Somebody was like, yes, we have our starting quarterback and we will not be taking any more questions. And they do. They've got their starting quarterback. They do.
It is.
He played.
He's been playing fantastically. It was such a fun game to watch. I kept going back to it because I was so entertained. And yeah, it wasn't this super high scoring affair. And it wasn't, they scored a lot of points, but still it was just watching him and the poise he had in the pocket and how he didn't panic. The funny thing is if you watched him from preseason game 1, you could see his progression each week. It was literally visible to the naked eye to see him figure this read out, let it slow down a little bit, and every week. And so the improvement has been huge since that first preseason game. And so it's very impressive what he's been doing. So love it. Camden threw out there, if the Texans were looking to rebrand after Watson, they're doing it right. They absolutely are.
Yeah,
They've got
definitely.
it figured out.
And Bill
Absolutely.
O'Brien too. Let's throw that.
That's fair. Yeah. All
Mm-hmm.
of it. So the last one I wanted to talk about was Zach Wilson, the New York Jets quarterback who was not supposed to be, right? This was the year Aaron Rodgers is going to come in and save the franchise, and they're winning the Super Bowl and everything is wonderful. 4 plays in, Aaron Rodgers is out for the season, and you're back with Zach Wilson. The team, Robert Saleh, seems to be really invested in saying, I'm not saying invested in heart, invested in saying they're going to stick with Zach as he gives them the best opportunity. Lisa, go ahead, because this is just like, come on.
If you're Zach Wilson, and if you have a friend that listens to this show, I'm going to tell you right now, you pack your bags and you leave New York tomorrow, bro. Because when Joe Namath comes out and totally rips you that you are trash, you're done. You are done, because hail Joe Namath in New York Jet fandom, because he's their hero. He's their God. And when he speaks, Jet fans listen.
Mm-hmm.
So Zach's done. He's done in New York after today and all the ripping he got, because it wasn't just Joe. After Joe, it just snowballed because everybody jumped on the Zach out of New York train. And I think that was the whole reason that we went and had Trevor Siemian sign today. I have no doubt you'll probably see that kid starting, because it's just, and when you look at the tapes, though, when you look at the Jets, and they totally, and we talked about it, and everybody else in the whole nation talked about it, they totally invested into Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Which, I'm
Hook,
sorry,
line, and sinker.
You deserved it. This Jets coaching staff and this whole front office, even to Joe Douglas, deserve everything they've got, because you signed a quarterback that, the last 3 seasons, we all talked about it, missed several games. You put your eggs in a basket that Zach, you could have kept somebody on the practice squad, or you could have kept somebody else close, but you just went all in on Aaron Rodgers. You didn't have any plans. Who doesn't plan for this quarterback that we all knew was injury prone, that has issues?
Right.
It's just, I blame the front office on that.
I do too.
And they're just, this kid's getting thrown under the bus. He really is. He's
not helping himself though, Lisa. For God's sake, they're like, he was asked, do you feel like you let the defense down? He goes, no. Oh, dude. Where's your
He's never said the right things. And that started last year, remember? And I think that was, his ride out.
Yeah.
He comes off as a blue-collared, spoiled brat that was silver spoon-fed his whole life, that just doesn't seem like he works for any damn thing.
Well, to be honest with you, we don't know that. But what we do know is
we don't know that, but we know that Rodgers wasn't close. You have to take, when you're a quarterback, you're looked at as the leader of that team. You're looked upon as you take blame. If you lose, how many quarterbacks, even though will put up 4 touchdowns, 400 yards, but the defense has given up 401 and you lose, they still take blame. Even Russell Wilson will take blame. Yep. You take accountability for your team. He takes none of it.
Nope.
He takes none of it. And Rodgers is the same, very well molded this last couple of days. He doesn't take any blame either.
Right.
So, like I said, but mine goes back into the front office of the Jets. You should have been prepared for Aaron Rodgers going down. You did not. You put your eggs in the basket, and now, you reap what you sow.
So Darcy said Zach Wilson is clearly not the answer, but not sure what is. Don't see it being Trevor Siemian. It isn't Trevor Siemian. And then I somewhere else back up in the chat earlier, I think someone said that even Colin Kaepernick said, hey, put me on your practice squad. I'll even try for you at this point. So,
And why did you get rid of Mike White? Why did you get rid of Mike White?
Right.
That's another
Don't complain.
He came in and
You
did great for you. I know, but I'm just saying. And, hey, we prepared, did we not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you did.
Absolutely.
Look at the Dolphins organization. They saw Mike. Mike came in, did great job for Zach Wilson last year.
Yeah.
And you get rid of Mike White and keep Zach?
I know.
Yeah, no,
I don't understand it.
So we've had a couple of questions come up. So first one is from Kristen. Of the rookie quarterbacks, is CJ the best of the rookies? Sonia, what do you think about that?
As of this moment, I'm going to say, yeah, he probably is. Now, could that change? For sure. I mean, the kid in Indy, Richardson, he's
Richardson.
concussed, but yeah, Richardson.
Yeah,
But
he
when
was
he
out
comes
this
back,
week, but yeah.
yeah,
He was
but
playing wonderfully before
he
he
was
got
playing
hurt.
Lights
very
out.
well.
He's playing lights out.
So I would probably say, as of now, it's CJ, but it could very easily be Richardson.
Absolutely. I think that one, we'll see. Hopefully he comes back soon for sure.
Mhm.
Graham said, he said in preseason, I was here for the Jets implosion. It happening only 3 weeks in was a lovely bonus. They are a gift that keeps on giving. Dolphins fan.
They
Just
are.
gonna put that out there for sure. Big Red asks, does Aaron Rodgers seem to be eerily following in the footsteps of his mentor, Brett Favre? I kind of think so. Like and I think that I was asked yesterday, about Aaron Rodgers and, before he was all this vibrato and lately, the last couple of weeks, he's been like, oh, I called Jordan Love and I'm being all helpful and Mr. Zen and go live in a hut in the middle of the desert kind of a guy. I think what it is, honestly, that injury, it was a little bit of his age hitting him in the face a bit. Him really realizing that, yeah, even if I move cities, I still bring the same injury problems with me. I do think that's
exactly.
so
we all
true.
saw it. He saw it. Everybody saw it, but the Jets front office didn't see it.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly. Very, very interesting. All right. So to wrap up tonight, I have one more thing. Well, we have two more, but we're already at 36 minutes. So I want each one of you to give me 30 seconds on what the hell happened to Dallas. Sonia, go first.
They were Dallas. I think they really were. They look great. They buy into their own things, and then boom, they implode real quick. And nobody saw that coming. And as soon as Dak threw that interception, I was like, "Yep, they're back.
They are.
There they are. There's the Dallas we know and love." Exactly. So yeah, I think they just kind of Dallas themselves.
They were Dallas. They weren't Shanahan. Yes. They were Dallas. Okay, gotcha. Lisa, what about you?
Yeah, I think.
And no, for the record, sorry, Lisa. Let me interrupt you. For the record, no, I do not think the Cardinals are better than we think they are. No, I don't. Anyway, go ahead.
I think the Cardinals were better than Dallas thought they were.
Exactly. Yes.
So I think they just came in thinking this was going to be a cakewalk. And I think the coach just put a great game plan. At this point, I do think the Cowboys are better than the Cardinals, but I think the Cardinals just threw plays at them that they never saw before and kind of just took care of business. It's one of those games where, like you said, Dallas was being Dallas. I think they just came in, thinking this was going to be a pretty easy game. And the Cardinal coaching staff did a fantastic job putting this game plan together. And and Dallas is one of these teams, like you said, when something goes wrong, it just snowballs.
It's a domino effect.
It is a domino effect for them. They just could not get out of the hole they were digging. So, but it's funny is that the Dallas Cowboys, man, that they'll one game you're going to Super Bowl, the next game you're number one in the draft.
Going to playoffs. What's interesting to me here is there is some freedom when you are the Arizona Cardinals or Chicago Bears or, Minneapolis at this point, Minnesota. We're going to talk about the own 3 teams, but there's some freedom when you're like, everyone thinks we're trash anyway. So let's just throw some stuff against the wall and see what happens, see what sticks, right? Like they already, and if we get blown out, we get blown out because honest to God, no one expects us to win. Yeah. So let's throw it. And oh my God, it worked. Right. And so kudos to them for doing that. And I want to say something about Josh Dobbs. I'm wondering if he keeps playing the way he is playing, the quarterback that they just plucked off the Steelers practice. I think it was practice squad, or he wasn't even their backup, and put in there. He's been playing well, not lights out, not elite. Don't anyone freak out on me, but much better than I think people expected to. However, did you see his video he put out today? He went into the team store to buy his own jersey, have it custom made because he knew we wouldn't be there on the walls, have it custom made. He's not even listed on the roster. They couldn't make the jersey. He's not on the roster. He's like,
that's what they think about you, Josh.
Because I just wanted to buy one for my family.
And I think
poor guy.
And I think like Dana hit it too. I think Dana was the one who put this out. I know we ran a long time, and we were going to talk about the Minnesota Vikings, but I think we didn't talk about Minnesota Vikings because I don't think the Minnesota Vikings are an 0-3 team. I think they just, because they lead in like 3 categories in the NFL. They're number 1.
Yes.
And you're 0-3. So it's like, I think that's kind of why we're not like, okay, they're not a dump star. They're not a dump fire. They're not a dumpster fire. They're not, they're just missing on things. It's crazy.
Hold up. I think Minnesota fumbled again. Here's the interesting thing about, there are the 0-3 teams. So we have Denver, Chicago, who play each other next week. And then you have Minnesota and Carolina, who play each other next week. So they'll be down to 2, unless we got some ties, and God knows this year in the NFL that's going to happen. But what's interesting is that is the one, you're absolutely right, Lisa, that sticks out like a sore thumb. They are not an 0-3 team. However, if you look at the way they played last year, they were on the positive side of a lot of very close games. They just managed to tip the scales enough in their direction to win a whole bunch of games. They won 13 games last year. Yeah. The luck has not been on their side this year. No. Justin Jefferson is still Justin Jefferson. He's been putting up huge numbers. Kirk Cousins still beige, but still good, right? Like we like him.
Numbers up.
But it's interesting. They just have not been able to tip those scales the way they were able to last year. I think that of the 3, they're going to bounce back. I think obviously when you look at these 4 teams, and please, Sonia, pop in if you think I'm wrong. Chicago is the one that seems to be the one that's in the most trouble.
Yeah,
with probably, honestly, Carolina behind them. Their top receivers, Adam Thielen, for God's sake. I mean, like there's just, So it's interesting to me. I don't know. So what are your thoughts, Sonia, on these 0-3 teams?
I agree that Minnesota probably has the best chance of bouncing back. I think the Vikings, they've got it. Like you said, they've got it there. They just got to put it all together. And I think that they will definitely bounce back and show what they can do versus the Panthers. I think the Bears are obviously the worst 0-3 team right now. Yeah. They just have a lot going on. They've got a lot going on, and I don't see them correcting it anytime soon. So I think in the hierarchy of 0-3 teams, I think it goes Minnesota, Denver, Carolina, Chicago.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Big Red has a good question. We're going to pull this up. It says, how many of these awful teams are tanking on purpose for draft picks? Not in week 3. No,
man, that's a lot. That might happen early to be talking about
week
tanking.
14, week 15, but you're not doing that in week 3. There's still too much optimism, and you do that too early, then your fans stop coming, and then you don't make any money. So it's good, especially in the middle of winter in Chicago.
Ooh, well, it's good. It's good when you're talking. Tell Big Red it's good when you're talking about college football, because that brings Bo Nix into the mix, brings a bunch of these quarterbacks that their fan base is starting to look at. So it's kind of
yeah. For sure.
I mean, keep looking at quarterbacks. Keep looking at the college quarterbacks.
Yeah, always. Me, I'm like, put them in the stable. The more in the stable, the fun. I know.
Lisa loves her quarterbacks. All right, everyone. Well, that is our show for this week. Thank you to everyone who joined in our chat. We love talking with all of you guys, and all of you guys that watched live with us. I can see your numbers out there. Feel free to jump in the chat next time. We are here, of course, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We are live on YouTube. YouTube is the best place to be, because then you can join our live chat and chit chat with us. But you can also watch us on Twitter and on Facebook. And then, of course, we're on all your favorite podcast sites, iHeartRadio, iTunes, all of them. You can always find us there under Our Turf Football Podcast, or you can look up the OTFB podcast, because that's where we are. So we will see you guys again.
Yes.
After another crazy week of football, I'm sure of it. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.